Welcome to Bigfoot Society. If you have Bigfoot activity to report from the same areas discussed in this episode, please reach out to me directly after this episode. And if you'd like to be on the podcast to discuss a personal Bigfoot encounter, please reach out to me directly at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Do you wish there was more Bigfoot Society to listen to every week? Well, there is now. If you become a supporting member over at Patreon, you get a special members-only episode every single week on Wednesdays, and sometimes even more episodes. Head on over to patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. And now let's get on with the show. All right, Bigfoot Society, we've got the privilege of talking to E today. E is an individual that reached out to me through email from Central Ohio about some things that he's experienced in that state. So it's a pleasure to talk to you tonight, E. I'm going to go ahead and hand it right over to you, sir. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Like you said, I'm from Central Ohio. I guess always been a believer, and now a kind of a knower. Had a type B, a class B sighting. Pretty. I guess vulgar, you'll say, that happened to me. Never will forget it. Obviously live in Ohio, grassman is the terminology. Didn't even know about the grassman until I moved to Ohio about over 10 years ago. And Salt Fork State Park is like the mecca of it all. And so me, I always wanted to go out there and check it out. This situation happened to me April 29th of 2022. I know that because it was Ohio Bigfoot Conference, and I wanted to go. I wanted to meet people. I knew, all the big names in the Bigfoot community were going to be there, and it's like the place to be for Ohio. So the place that my situation happened was a spot called Bigfoot Ridge. It was campsite number 6. Never forget it. I still go there to this day. So it was on a Friday night. Got there kind of late, probably about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and it's still kind of like that sunset at about 6. So I was putting up my camp, got off work, setting everything up in the middle of the kind of like darkness. Had to use my headlamp to put it up. And it was going to get cold that day too. So I got my Mr. Heater, got everything I needed. So after I set everything up, I had Chipotle, and I ate Chipotle, and I forgot I left it outside. And raccoons I could hear little footsteps coming in. And whoever was at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, I even told the story to them. Mark, who runs it, to everybody that year as well too, that following Sunday. So if you were there, you know who I am, what I look like, and everything else. So fast forward to, raccoons coming in and out of my camp. And this is about 2 o'clock. And they kind of disturbed me. So I just decided to unzip my zipper, kind of scare them away, and use the bathroom. Also to mention, there were people from the BFRO that were camping that night around me. Later found that out. They were from New Jersey. They drove all the way from New Jersey to Ohio to experience the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. So they went out for a night investigation. So it's about 2:30 now. I'm going out to relieve myself, and they're coming back from a night hike. They had their red headlamps and everything. And so I knew I wasn't the only one up during that time. So decided to go, because they're coming back from the cars and have their headlamps and going into their tents. And I'm going back to my tent as well too. So I'm kind of surrounded by people. If you've ever been to Bigfoot Ridge, there's a brush line near by that sign. If you're pulling in, it'll be on your right hand side, campsite number 6, like I said. I had a red tent, had my Mr. Heater. It was going to be in the 30s. And so I hear this raccoon. Like I said, they're coming in and out. here go back to the brush line, taking food that I left out, Chipotle, to kind of hear rumbling through some other stuff as well, and hear it nibbling like, and you could hear it's like a small creature, a raccoon, possum, something of that nature. And as amidst as this animal is eating whatever it was, small rodents, nocturnal animal, I hear it die like I hear it like it's fighting for its life, like something is attacking it. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be logical, like a coyote, fox, something like that. That'd be could kill like a predator, some type of predator. Because the only predators we have are black bear, but we only got like a population of 100 in Ohio. It's not like Tennessee, where it's in the thousands. So yeah. But I'm all awoke now. Like, heard this animal die and so forth. So decided to turn on my Mr. Heater to keep me warm. It's like 35 degrees, probably even a little bit colder than that. And from the brush line, I heard, and I was like, did I just hear that? And it was all because I turned on my Mr. Heater and my whole tent lit up from being red. And I heard it the third time, and it blew me away. And the third time, at first time I turned it on, the Mr. Heater is weird because it's like counterclockwise to turn it off. Like that was the first time using it too. And so, like I said, I turned it on. I didn't believe what I heard. And then it happened again a second time. And I had it on a low setting, and it got super loud when I accidentally turned it from low to high. And I was trying to turn it off. I mean, the lungs on this thing, it was like, and I'm laying on my back too, like laying on my back. And I'm like, it's not even ground level. And I'm like, this thing is up. Like, if I was to stand up, like, 6 feet plus. Like, I'm trying to get distance from a distance and how high up it is. And I'm like, that sounds like taller than me. And I can't even do justice of with the grunts and so forth. So in my mind, like, I'm thinking, did I just disturb a Bigfoot kill? And I didn't even hear it come up. And I'm thinking to myself, if this was a black bear, like it should have went through my camp, which it didn't. Should go through other people's camps, but it didn't. You hear it slowly, like crunch, crunch, crunch away. But for something that big, I should have heard it come up to the brush line. And yeah, it pretty much ambushed whatever that was. So it was a raccoon, a possum, or whatever. But I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything until it made the kill. Like, I could hear the little animals, and then it just, like, if you ever heard like a cat, not a cat fight, but something fighting for its life, and then you could tell it's small, like a dog, or like a dog fight, whatever. And so yeah, as soon as I'm up by then, turn on my Mr. Heater, my tent's red, and I hear the grunts, and I didn't believe it, and I heard it again, and I'm thinking to myself, is this the vocalization that people, is this what it sounds like? and it clearly is directed towards me because I'm the only one that had like lit up the tents. When I went out to use the bathroom prior, nobody else had their tent lit up at all. So, and that red on red really glowed up the area. And I'm probably like 20 yards, 25 yards, pretty close to that brush line. I know that because I play football, so I know how, like, first downs and all that. So, yeah, I'm pretty close. It's this thing. I mean, it could have been on me right then and there, and luckily it didn't. And the third grunt, because I was trying to turn it from low to off. I actually turned it low to high, and so it had grunted. So I didn't get a lick of sleep all night. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know if it was going to come back. I did not at all. And so as soon as daybreak, I go back to Columbus, Central Ohio. There's only one city that's really in Central Ohio. So I go back to Columbus. My wife thought I was going to spend the night there, like, the morning and all that. Come home, and I came to come to her, and I said, they're out there. I said, they're out there. She said I look like I've seen a ghost. Like my skin's, I'm African American, and I just kind of like lost pigmentation, I guess, a little bit in my skin. I'm fair skinned like African American, so I guess I look whitish and pale, scared. Kept replaying that over and over in my head that night. Kept listening and listening. Didn't hear anything, but I did hear it like bipedal walk away. So I just left everything there, and I was just gonna come back and get it. And so, because I there was no way I was gonna sleep out there. I needed some sleep. So, and my son had a soccer game anyways. So I decided to go later that afternoon. So April 29th, that Friday night was, I guess, technically it's April 30th. It's 2:30 in the morning. So April 30th, the next fall, because the Bigfoot Conference is just a weekend thing. So later go to the afternoon, and I pull up, and the BFRO people from New Jersey came up to me immediately after I got in my car and asked me, "Did you hear anything?" And I said, "Yeah, 2:30 in the morning." They're like, "Yeah." So that gave me validation that I wasn't the only one that heard it. And it was, I don't know what else. In Ohio, the biggest thing we really, really got is white-tailed deer and the hunter bear, roughly, black bear. And I mean, the place is notorious for obviously Bigfoot and grass mare. And so, I mean, what validated for me was, after replaying it over and over and over in my head, was the fact how high up those vocals, and I can tell if it's ground level or not. You can tell if this is 6 feet or more, from tree, like, so it definitely was. And what grunts at you and like walks away, and it was nobody with flashlights, nothing like that. So if it was a bear, it should have went through everybody's stuff. It didn't. It was particular. It had a mission. It completed the mission, and I think I disturbed part of its mission. That's why I got those vocalizations directly towards me. And so share with my experience there with the Ohio Bigfoot Conference that Sunday, where it's like a town hall meeting that Mark holds. I can't remember Mark's last name, but he's pretty much runs it, sort of. Told everybody there in front of Renee, Cliff, Dr. Meldrum, even Moneymaker as well too. So Don Keeney was there as well. I saw John as well. I see John quite a bit when I go there. So I, after that happened, I was like, don't need to go back. I was scared. Like, it took me months to even build up the courage, because, like I said, this is COVID, or ending of COVID. And, I was always curious about it. And beforehand, I was hiking. That was my first time spending the night there. And, there's a map of, I guess, where all the sightings has happened as well. And I wanted to go to a primitive site, and it's a primitive spot throughout the park. There's no running water. There's no electricity. And I've done hikes there where I've seen footprints in March, which is still like 30 degrees. And I wear a size 11 boot. And I mean, the width, the length, the depth is like incredible that something can leave an impression like that in frozen ground. The heel print, like when you step, like heel first, toe second, and the heel is somewhat deeper. The heel leaves the bigger impression because that's where all the weight goes, and it spreads the earth, spreads the dirt around, pushes it, like rolls it up. Got pictures of that. In Stockton County, went on a hiking trail there. This is probably like a year or so ago, around hunting season. I'm walking, there's deer everywhere. I mean, I think Stockton County, Jersey County, they got the biggest kills, deer kills year in, year out, so plenty of food. And those two counties kind of touch each other, they border each other. And so yeah, fall, obviously deer season, walking down the trail probably like mile and a half, and there's some houses on my right hand side. Not houses, I would say a farm, but the loudest like Louisville slugger knock ever. And I do a lot of hiking, hoping I get lucky. Like I said, to build some time after this situation happened to me in 2002, and this knock probably happened last fall. So build some courage to go back out there, and heard that as well. Hike. I don't know what else. I mean, it was so early in the morning. It was like 7:30 in the morning, and I'm like, who's building anything? And it wasn't repetitious knocks. It was just one solid, just like pow, and that was it. It wasn't it wasn't even a tree falling over, because you were with crunch, 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 fall over. It wasn't even that. So I had a walking stick. I tried to knock back, nothing. But when I saw the deer on that day, this was like last fall, it felt like a knock, like someone's here. The grunts, I'm going back to the grunts. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, because the grunts felt like someone saying, hey, knock it off. Like that's what like it felt. Like cut it out, knock it off, type grunts. And I didn't act fast enough. The grunts are probably like a second apart, and the third one just got pretty low. Like it escalated, and I couldn't get that Mr. Here shut off fast enough. So I mean, I still go out. I reached out to Harley Owens. I let him know that I was pretty close. I mean, 6 hours away. I heard them. I seen the impressions they leave in the earth. And I do one day want to have a class. Obviously, I want to, if I'm going to have a class A, if I have my pickings of something that is, I can go home that day. But so yeah, so far had those class Bs, and they were never forget them. And yeah, I mean, they're definitely here. I mean, I don't know what else could leave that type of grunt in the middle of the night. And yeah, it has to be. So.
That's very interesting, that whole situation happening that weekend. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
So you leave early in the morning to go back to Columbus, which is just under an hour and a half ish, right? And then you go back to get your stuff. Now, when you went back to the campsite to get your stuff, did you notice signs of a struggle? How, you were saying like that raccoon or whatever it is got taken out, or did you see any evidence?
So, yeah. So, one of the guys how I knew he was from the BFRO, because he had a BFRO hat on. And I talked to them, and they told me they were from New Jersey. And there's this one particular skinny lady, red hair, pink hair, that we went back there to look to see like a tussle. This thing, it sounded like it got a hold of, and it was like, how if you pick up a wild cat, it's trying to get out of your arms, and
right.
I think this thing just like snapped its neck, twisted it, something, and that was the end of it. So it wasn't even tussling really. It was like a snatch up. It wasn't like the bushes weren't rumbling around, the leaves, none of that. It's like, and like I said, that animal that was eating my Chipotle was occupied. And I'm thinking that night, I'm thinking, oh, what a perfect opportunity to ambush animal in the midst of its being occupied eating his food. You get behind it and get it. So I'm thinking, what do we have in a wild that can do that? I'm like, possibly fox, coyote, but they're not going to leave those vocalizations like how I heard, or bear for that matter, because they don't go like they. This is the difference between a growl and a grunt, and this is definitely a grunt.
Right. Right. And
was immediate.
So you said you actually heard like bipedal footsteps as well.
Afterwards, yeah. It was odd. It sounded like a sneak up. I mean, when I say it like the fact that I didn't hear it come, the fact that I didn't hear it, and it was large. It was large. And I'm laying on the ground, and I can hear it like 6 feet up. I'm being conservative when I say that too. When I say 6 feet up, I'm like a minimum of 6 feet, like a minimum of that. I'm glad I got the validation from the people from the BFRO telling me, hey, I couldn't get out the car fast enough without them coming towards me.
Right.
And the lady, she heard it. The skinny girl from New Jersey. The guy with the BFRO hat on, he said he fell asleep. I mean, when they went in their tent and after I got done doing number one, it happened 10 minutes, 15 at the most. And I'm thinking they like, when you're in the woods and if you're looking for Bigfoot like they were, you're going to want to stay up a little as long as you can, especially just got into your tent. So for him to say that, yeah, I fell asleep, I was like, man, you fell asleep less than 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I was kind of like, there's no way you fell asleep. And then hearing that, I was like, that didn't like wake you up at all. Like I can understand if you're going slowly to sleep, but so he was kind of bummed out. He didn't hear it a little bit, but she did. And other people were saying that, yeah, there was a lot of animal activity, which makes sense because there's a dumpster there, which is a prime opportunity for them to get into the trash cans after the people leave, or there's in camps. But yeah, Bigfoot Ridge is obviously a hotspot. Whoever's been there knows about it. So yeah, I mean, they've been seen throughout the whole entire park.
Can you share, just in case listeners don't know, can you share any information about why that area is called Bigfoot Ridge?
The story that I know of is that there was a picnic area before they made it a campsite, and I think John had said this on one of his podcasts on YouTube, or he was telling a story, or somebody was, is that I guess this is going back to the 80s, or maybe early 90s, that two of them stepped out, and I think it was a handicap, like picnic area. And then they converted into a campsite eventually, a primitive campsite. Like I said, doesn't have any electricity or running water or anything like that. And I guess when they named it Bigfoot Ridge. There's a sign up for it and everything. You can look that up on Google. But I guess once it was being known as the hotspot of Ohio, in a sense.
Yep.
They decided to name it Bigfoot Ridge. So
absolutely, yeah. Salt Fork State Park is a huge Bigfoot area for people that aren't aware. It's also the site of the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, as E said earlier. But were there any other reports from that night or weekend of other people in other areas having Bigfoot interactions?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so the place, there's a horse camp area. Everybody that has horses likes to go over there as well too. And there's a lot of bridle trails, just like 4 or 5 of them. I like, it's a great place if you want to go for long hikes. I do now, just to see what I can see. I think the next thing for me is like possibly smelling them. I didn't smell anything. I did get asked a question, did I felt sick? I remember telling my story at the conference, and one guy came up to me and says, did you feel sick? And I was like, no, I didn't feel nauseous, because I heard of ultrasound, but with the aggression of the vocalization towards me, because I turned on my Mr. Heater and just lit up the place with my red tent. And so, which kind of gave it like a glow. It lit it up for sure. And that's why I think, because I didn't hear it, it was certainly trying to be stealthy. And me lighting up the tent, blew us like somewhat cover. I mean, it was definitely towards me. I mean, like I said, it happened the second, as soon as I turned on the Mr. Heater. But other people did. There was another lady from New Jersey, from the BFRO, by, like I said, the horse camp. There's the Orange Trail that kind of begins there, so to speak. There's like the white trail, blue trail, purple trail, orange trail. They saw 2 sets of glowing red eyes, one low and high. There was other people that saw something in glowing red eyes, and they were out there. When I was setting up tent, like I said, 8:00, 6, whatever it was, they were heading out. So they were out there for like 6 hours, from about, what did it say, from 8 to 2.
That's very, very interesting. So I guess few follow-up questions. No strange smells in the campsite at that time?
No, nothing where it's like the stuff you hear.
Right, exactly.
The stuff that like the skunk, the wet dog, and all, and just stuff that makes you want to throw up. Like none of that. No, didn't feel nauseous, didn't feel sick. The sound, the best way I can describe it is like below the diaphragm, like guttural, in your gut. If you can like make sounds from your belly up versus from your lungs up, like that's how I would describe it. It sounded like if a gorilla could do that, I never really heard a gorilla grunt, but it's not a known animal in Ohio that can, like I said, deer and bear.
Right.
And it was like, it had intelligence, because it didn't do what I wanted to it stopped the grunts when I turned off the Mr. Heater, after the time at third grunt. So it had intelligence, like, to do that. And I'm thinking if this thing, we're not known for a bear state at all. We're just not. West Virginia and Tennessee are,
right.
But we're not known for that. I should tell people you have a better chance of running into a Bigfoot than a black bear.
That's funny.
Here in Ohio. And I mean, Ohio, I think Ohio is a hotspot just because all our rivers run into the Ohio River. So you got the water stream, all the creeks and the small rivers, the Scioto rivers and all that run into it. Obviously you got the Great Lakes that, so we're surrounded by water. Really no main big predators, a hunted bear, black bear, which is nothing to them. And, I mean, if you want a trophy buck, Ohio's where it's at for a trophy buck. You're trying to get that 225 to 250 range of pounds.
Right.
You can definitely get it here.
Absolutely.
And our winters are not, well, lately they've been very, very mild, but yeah, I mean, it goes back to the 1800s when that one particular father and daughter are walking down, and she just, I don't even think she said gorilla because the gorilla didn't even exist back in those terms. I forgot what she called it, and attacked her dad. So yeah, I mean, it's and then I also go to Hawken Hills, which has the stories. Wayne National Forest. I haven't had any experience there, but yeah, I really don't go much in the summertime, just because you can't see any foliage. I mean, the foliage is so thick, but yeah, the situations that happened to me with the knock vocalizations, they were spring and the fall. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yep. That's a good time, especially the fall, from what I hear. So you're actively going to Hawken Hills, or you've been there a few times.
Yeah. I mean, living in Columbus, you're about. I mean, I live on the hour and 15. I can get to South Fork, and then like an hour and 15 depending on Hawken Hills, Wayne National Forest, Southeast Ohio. Terre Hall is a good place. Broke's a good place. State Park. I'm trying to think of some other ones as well, but yeah, anything over there is obviously in Hawken Hills. That whole general region is a good spot. If you look at it on a BFRO map that's mapped out, you can pretty much draw a straight line from Columbia County all the way down to Hawken Hills, which runs into South Fork. So it's our highest point of the state, and it's the Appalachian foothills and plateaus, I guess, and it kind of makes sense why they stay from eastern Ohio, southeast to northeast. So kind of a diagonal line, which kind of runs through South Fork if you were dry on the map. But yeah, I'll never forget. There's nothing. I mean, I've been to the zoo. I've been to San Antonio Zoo. Columbus Zoo is pretty well known. There's nothing there's nothing in North America, well, at least classified, that makes that type of noise.
Did you say that you had actually seen a track there?
I have. Yep, I have.
Tell us.
I think
the weekend? Yeah. That was in the weekend you saw that?
No, that was like the year prior.
Okay.
I was going out there like 2002. I'm sorry, 2000. COVID years. Yep. Because there's not much else to do than go hiking and camping, and I was getting tired of playing golf all the time, so needed another outlet and I think that's where I picked it up because, like I said, long story short, I was working from home and listened to a bunch of podcasts and so forth. So it kind of inspired me to go out to Salt Fork and get on those trails. Like I said, it's a whole bunch of bridle trails that can go 8 miles to 10 miles. And you got some 4-mile ones as well, too. So, yeah, I got on the trail and I saw the footprint like cross the trail. There was this one single footprint that stepped on the trail and off, and you couldn't see the rest of it because it was, leaf litter everywhere. But the trail didn't have any leaves, and you can definitely see a heel for sure. It looked blocky, like a blocky foot. It didn't, just wide and blocky. You can see toes as well in it. But the heel, it looked like the dirt just rolled up on his heel when it stepped on it, because it's pretty like rounded or mounded at the heel area, as it's pushing off his heel into the toes, or landing his heel and going onto the toes. But I was walking down the trail of it and stepped right over it, and was kind of, it looked fairly fresh, but what caught me was the impression, and I was looking for rocks, but I'm thinking like, and it's a horse trail, so like they're gonna clear rocks out the way. They don't want the horses breaking their, it's expensive animal to own and take care of and all that, so they keep it somewhat kind of cleared out for the horses. And I'm looking around for rocks. I'm not finding a rock, but it is clearly going across. This is on the blue trail. I saw this. And the blue trail is, if you look at Salt Fork, it's on a peninsula, you can say. And unless they're crossing the waters, there's really one way in and one way out on land without crossing water. So that's the reason why I went on the blue trail, and that's where I noticed it.
Did you have any way of, did you have like a tape measure or anything with you to try to?
Yeah, I did. I did. I had my foot, size 11 foot, so I can send it to you.
Okay.
Of it, to compare. And it makes my foot like a child's foot. It really does. Wow. And I was astonished. I'm like, I got, I guess, quote unquote grown man feet. I mean, I'm not 6'4", 6'5", but it made my stuff look like my toddler when my kids were toddlers size compared to my feet. So,
were you able to try to do like a cast or a 3D scan or anything like that besides?
No, I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything on me. I mean, the only thing, I don't even think I didn't have my wallet on me. I left it in the car. So I didn't have really not much other than I knew everybody knows what a size 11 foot looks like, or a boot. So I put my foot up against it to say, hey, this is like almost 12 feet right here, size 11. So, and it's another 3 to 4. It looked like 15 feet to me. And then the width, like it was like the width of my foot plus another half of my foot at least. So I put my foot in it, and it was spaced on left and right of it. And I weighed 240. So I'm not a skinny guy, and I couldn't do nothing on the ground. And the ground was frozen. Freezes at night and thaws out a little bit. So, but we're in March, so it's like 40 for a high. So it's not thawing out that fast or that efficient. So it's more frozen throughout the day than it is above freezing. So yeah, and to leave that impression into the ground like that was something.
How deep into the ground did it go again?
Oh, at least an inch, like inch and a half.
That's wild.
And I couldn't do nothing. Right. Like I tried stopping on it and everything around it, like not in it, but around it to see what I can do. I couldn't move it. I mean, the ground's like, it's like cement almost. So there's nothing I can, my 240-pound body could do to put an impression into the earth like that. And coming out of winter, so barely.
Scott from Patreon has a question for you. What was it that first got you into Bigfoot in the first place?
Monster Quest. Monster Quest definitely did. The Ohio Grassman episode. I just moved to, I guess, Ohio in 07, and I think that came in like 2007 or I want to say 8 really, and that floored me. And then they had another one about Kentucky. Like they're in Ohio, Kentucky, they got to be in West Virginia, and found out about the Florida skunk ape. So that intrigued me. And I was and I was about to go into college, and then school and girls and bars and partying and all that got in the way. And then COVID hit, and it's like, okay, I think everybody had to find an interest, because if you're guy was going to the gym, I was going to movies, going out to eat, all that came to a halt. So I needed something to gravitate towards, keeping my interest throughout the day, and that's what kind of, I guess, resprung it, or it was there, but I always believed in evolution, anthropology as well too. So evolution of, I guess you could say, human beings, I guess, and Neanderthals and so forth and all that. But I mean, and then the fact that every Native American has a word for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge.
And I was like, oh my! And then like from coast to coast, like they're definitely not calling each other, writing each other, none of that. And then and I mean, not everybody can be crazy. Everybody is like making this up over and over and over and over and over again. I'm like, and I was like, there's no money to make this stuff up. There is none. Like you're not going to get rich off of telling a story.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, all these people emailing and giving reports, and it's like, they're not. My email is full every day, and it's like, these people are not getting anything from sending these emails. Like, it's just, I totally get what you're saying.
And then, like, for me, like, with the podcast, it was the harshness of treatment from, I guess, higher authorities in the government that people get. And I was like, really? Like, they go that far of threats and stalking and the harassment? I was like, wow. So that caught my interest. I'm like, they're definitely not making this up. So,
absolutely.
At all.
Have there been any other interesting encounters you've heard of from the Salt Fork area? Just curious if you've ever heard anything.
Yeah. Don't want to give out this guy's name.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's his permission, but he's pretty well known. There was a guy, if you know, well, you can Google where I met him at Bigfoot Ridge. This was, he knows who he is if he's listening. His name starts with an E as well too. Let's say that. Over by the group camp, there's like a swampy area, and it's a little road that goes into it. And him and his partner in crime, he has his own YouTube channel as well too. I don't want to tell too much about him, but him and his partner go out for a hike and come back. His story is that I think his wife was they only have one car. So normally he goes in with his car, comes out of his car, go back in his car and leaves. Well, this time, like, I guess his wife was dropping him off. And so they dropped him off. They go in and out. Where they normally park at, they kept on walking. And at Salt Fork, like I said, at the camp, there's this little road and it's kind of swampy on both sides. He saw one about 10 feet tall, all black, move trees out the way to see if they left. because normally, like I said, they drive in, drive out. They doors close, open and close, and all that. And I guess the Bigfoot was like, "Where are they?" I didn't hear them get back in their truck. I didn't hear them drive away. And they were walking towards this bridge, this narrow bridge over this little swamp spot, to get, I guess, closer to his wife that was on her way. She was running a little bit late. And so they did something out of the routine that they normally do. And he saw one. And he was shook up for months. He told me, showed me a picture. I guess Mark seen one as well too. I talked to Mark. I think you know who Mark is, who runs the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. He saw a black one as well. So I guess they're pretty common to be black here in Ohio. Not to say there's not brown ones or anything like that or whatever, but two of the people I talked to face to face that had an encounter and that Class A, good Class A, that they're black. So yes, that's the Class A I heard of at Salt Fork. So yeah, and yeah,
that's extremely interesting. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will be like, man, I've always wanted to go to Salt Fork and look for Bigfoot. Do you have any advice for people that are going to Salt Fork for the first time to go camping?
There's gonna be a lot of knuckleheads out there. Don't go go out there in this for summertime. Because everybody, I know there's people that don't even bother going to Salt Fork anymore because it's some people, not that it's just saying it's getting squashed out, but you got all these people going out there in the summertime knocking on trees, hooping and hollering and doing hoops, and they got the kids camp where they go out there and they walk around. It could be pushing them away at certain times of the year. And that's why I talked about Ohio. If you look on the BFRO, you can plot a straight line so they can go up and down a line in the state. So like I said, Hawken Hills is just right below it on that the Appalachian of Ohio, really. That they do get pushed out because there's too many people in the state park. They got somewhere else to go. So definitely, if you're gonna do this, do it when I did it. Early spring, late fall. I like going because if you're going on these trails, it's so thick in there, you can't see 10 feet, and you're almost wasting your time doing that. If you're gonna do it, you want to go when all the leaf litter's down. It's November, December, January, February, where you actually can see a mile, half a mile. It's pointless doing it during the summertime. It really is. So don't even waste I'm not saying not go out there, but have low expectations. In other words, I would say if you want them to come up close, you're going to need at least 3 days. I think I just got lucky that one night of them. It really didn't come up to me. It really had no interest in me. I just disturbed it with turning on my Mr. Hero lamp, glowing up my tent, and it got pissed off at me. So it wasn't there to check me out. It was really there to do its normal routine of getting a dinner, a meal, and keep it moving. But if you want these things, I guess I've heard you need at least a week, about that, 4 or 5 days, for them to even feel comfortable approaching you. It was clearly pissed off at me, and probably didn't even want me there to begin with. So if you want to have an encounter, I guess them coming into your camp. Mine didn't come in my camp. I don't count that. I count it as passing my camp by. I just got lucky of turning on my Mr. Heater at the time that I did, and definitely directed towards me, 100%. And other people heard it too. So, yeah,
That's
I think
wild.
it's a solid Class B vocalization. I really haven't heard too many stories like mine, like kind of like the old man get off my yard type of thing, like yelling at me. Never really heard that from anybody else.
E, thank you for coming on and sharing. This is a very interesting interaction. It's kind of a unique one, I would say. Definitely haven't heard many like it, but I appreciate you coming on to talk about your experience at Salt Fork.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and I'm surprised we don't have more from Ohio, to be honest with you. Don't know why that is, but
please take a minute to help out the show by subscribing on YouTube, making sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and share the episode on YouTube with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on a podcast, thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed, share the show with a friend. Really, it's all about sharing the show wherever you can. If you've had a Bigfoot encounter related to the following or know someone who has, please reach out to me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com or pass on my email. Here's the list. All right, I'm going to use this space this week to announce that I'll be at the Sasquatch Summerfest in Oak Ridge, Oregon as an attender. I won't be presenting or anything, but I'll be hanging out, trying to interview people that have had Bigfoot encounters. If you're from the Oak Ridge, Oregon area or surrounding and you've had a Bigfoot experience, please contact me directly, bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Also, Priscilla was nice enough that if you get your tickets through SasquatchSummerfest.com and use code Bigfoot Society, you can get 50% off the cost of your tickets, which is a big amount. So code Bigfoot Society to get 50% off your tickets, SasquatchSummerfest.com, and helps out the podcast as well. A special thank you to all the Bigfoot Society Patreon and YouTube channel members. It's your support that helps keep the show going, and I extremely appreciate it. Here at Bigfoot Society, we're headed to the moon, and here's a current update about going full-time. So here we go. As of 5/22, we are now at 202 patrons out of 824 needed. That's 24.51%, almost a quarter of the way there, guys. Brings us down to 622 left to join the Patreon. So a huge thank you to Barbara, Gregory, Dana, Craig, Jeff, Steve, Ricky D, Norm, Megan, Dan, Daddy Chatty, Joe, Eber, Ike, Jules, Josh, Ryan, Todd, Nathan, Gabe, Bill, Lucky, Megan, William, Bobby Joe, and Inger for joining recently. If you want to join in the fun, you can join over at patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. I'll see you there. And again, thanks for listening.
Her and I can get on here and we can tell our stories. Maybe there's somebody else out there listening that's too afraid to tell their story. Maybe this will give them the courage to come out and not feel so bad about it. Who cares what anybody thinks? I know what I saw. I know what's out there. That's all I care about.
Please let people know. Please let them know. If you ever see one of these things, you need to tell. Because if you don't, then shame on you. You know? Shame on you.